I'm Smitty Harris, and I've been married 57 years.
I had an old beau who wanted me to go with him to meet this instructor pilot who was in the Air Force.
I had a friend in Tallahassee, which is about 40 miles from where I was based, and he brought Louise over because he was getting ready to go into pilot training, and he knew I was an instructor pilot, and he wanted to get any tips that he could. And so after he and Louise left, I called her for a date.
As we dated on, one night we were at a party at the club, and he accidentally introduced me as Jane. Now, he'll swear that he didn't, but he did. And so I said, well, Tarzan, you better get your dates straight. He flew off to Washington to fly congressmen around and demonstrate the airplane that he flew. And when he flew back from Washington, he had a ring for me, and I accepted. And 6 months later, we were married, and in Tallahassee, Florida. And we've lived pretty happily ever after, except for a little excursion he took that took him away from me for about 8 years when he was a prisoner of war in North Vietnam.
I was in solitary confinement, and after a month or so, I was pulled out and put in a cell with 3 other American POWs. And the 4 of us, we were absolutely elated. We stayed up all night talking. But I had, of course, remembered the tap code, and I taught it to them. And then about a week later, they put us all back in solitary confinement, and we tried to use it through the walls, and it worked fine. So we passed it on to other POWs as they came in and left, and it just spread like a chain reaction, really.
Their communication was the basis of them communicating orders to each other and everything else. But it also was meaningful because when they would go to a torture session and they would come back, as soon as the guards cleared the area, they would tap through the walls, GBU, which meant God bless you. The girls were 3.5 and 4.5 when Smitty was shot down. And of course, Lyle was just a newborn. But we talked every day as though Daddy would come through the door. And it was a joyous thing. We talked about what he laughed about and what he liked and what he didn't like. And he was very much a part of our everyday lives. And we lived normally. We didn't put any restrictions on what we did. We'd go see his parents in the summer, and we traveled, and we did all the normal things. And so when he walked through the door, he'd always been there.
When I was released from prison and the aircraft landed at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines, my escort officer, who was an old friend from way back, he was handling details to get a call through for me to Louise. And just out of a whim, when he handed me the phone, I said, "Hi, Jane, this is Tarzan." And she says that was the best possible thing. She had no idea of my mental, emotional, or physical shape, that there was still a little humor and memory.
He had them do this pin for me, and it says GBU in tap code. And there's a little cross on it, and it says that. And he gave it to me as a surprise one Christmas. And he'd already given me a very nice gift, so this is very special. And Chuck's been involved in a lot of my Christmases, and Van Atkins family, so they're very dear to me, and they're just special.
We both found out that we had almost identical values about everything, and especially about the sanctity of marriage. And we knew before we ever got married that this was it forever. I didn't know forever would be this long, but it's been a very excellent trip.